All right, thank you very much for your coming and let's start. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The honorable person, our lecturer, Madam Arini Nurul Hidayati MPD, and all my beloved presenters and participants. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let's thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Because of His blessing, we are able to come here joining this meeting. Salawat and salam always be given to our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who has guided us from the darkness into the brightness. I'd like to thank everyone who's joining us from across the major of Siliwangi University and the university. And welcome to today's webinar series with the theme, Effective Listening for Better Communication. My name is Rika Nur Awalia, will be hosting today's session. I'm so grateful to be your lead in this webinar series held by English Department Student Association, English Education Department, Siliwangi University. For the presenters today are students of English Education Department, Siliwangi University. They are Rita Sofanur Hidayah, Dini Aurelia, Fasya Muhammad Al-Hafiz, Andriani Sucia Rahmani, Mira Fuji Salamatun Najah, Anggita Megantari, Hilmi Ayuniar Setiawati, and the last Fikri Bayhat. And here are the regulations for EDSA's webinar 2021. This webinar will last for 1 hour. The only language used to communicate is English. All participants are suggested to take notes during the presentation. All participants must turn off the audio during the presentation. The presentation will be held in 5 minutes for each presenter. The moderator will set the time to remind the presenter. The Q&A session will come after the whole presentation. Questions can be typed in the chat box since the early presentation. Anyone interested in talking directly to the presenters is pleased to raise your hand. We will facilitate you if we still have time. And the last, if you could not get your answer, the presenter will send the answer via email. All right, now we are going to presentation session. For the first presenter, I'd like to invite Rita Sofanur Hidayah with her topic, Improving Students' Listening Comprehension in English Classroom. Please.
Thank you, moderator, for giving me an opportunity to share some of knowledge I'd like to share. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. My name is Rita Sofanur Hidayah, and I'm from Siliwangi University. The honorable of audience, as we know that there are several skills in language: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. All of these skills are important, but now, I'd like to share how to improve one of these skills, that's listening. As moderator says, I'd like to share how to improve students' listening comprehension in English classroom. Before I go to strategies, I'd like you to know what listening is. Next, please. Next, please. According to Agustina, listening is not only hearing, but it's also the process of interpreting messages of what people say. And Sarkoban states that listening is the ability to identify and understand what others are saying. Even Mendelssohn mentioned that listening takes up 40 to 50% on communicating. This statement shows that listening is important, and this skill requires more concentration and more attention to understand the sound or the material, especially for EFL or high school students when they learn English course. Of course, this becomes challenge for whether for students or the teachers. As English teachers, we have to solve student difficulties in English listening comprehension. I found two strategies, according to Gilakjani and Ahmadi in their journal, How to Improve English Listening Comprehension. Next slide, please. The first one is listening activity, and the last one is teaching method. Next slide, please. We begin with listening activity. According to Gilakjani and Ahmadi, listening activity are subcategorized as pre-listening, while listening, and post-listening. In pre-listening activity, teacher may select certain words or vocabulary or difficult grammatical structures to be given before listening activity. And in while listening activity, teacher may ask students to note down keywords or main point, or in the simple one, teacher may ask the students, teacher may give the students the text which missing words inside, and the students have to answer and filling the missing words. And in the post-listening activity, teacher may ask students to mention their answers or to write it on the whiteboard one by one. Then teacher give the comprehension question like 5W and 1H question, and the students have to answer it. The second strategy is teaching method. Next slide, please. There are four methods in this part according to Gilakjani and Ahmadi. The first one is cultivating students' listening skill. For example, in the class, teacher can ask students to listen to the text and to sum up the key points and main information. Or in the simple one, teacher can ask the students to guess the meaning of vocabulary that teacher is given. And the second method is textbook-based learning, textbook-based learning and other listening content. Teachers need to select a wide range of materials beside using textbooks. Likewise, with students, they need to listen to different of many of English levels, English listening levels, in order to be exposed to natural, lively, and rich language, such as listen to English songs or seeing films with English text. This way, it's possible to raise students' enthusiasm, cultivate their interest, and achieve the goals of learning English. And the third method is combining intensive listening with extensive listening. Teachers have to encourage the student to engage in intensive listening in the class, requiring students to understand the general meaning and become familiar with English pronunciation, intonation, and the Chang language flow. And in activities outside the class, students need to engage in extensive listening to many different variety of language, and such as such as TV programs, uh, or radio or internet, or and as many other kinds to listening training they can find. And the last method is combining listening with other skills. In listening teaching, we need to combining listening activity with other skills such as reading. Reading activity can improve the vocabulary, and a lot of vocabulary can help students to improve their listening comprehension. Similarly, by combining listening with the writing, students have to answer teachers' questions in written English after they listened in English spoken material language. And also about combining listening with the speaking. Students need to retell and discuss about the material to check their understanding. That's the strategies according to Gilakjani and Ahmadi. And that's all from me. Thank you for your nice attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much for your great presentation. And for the next presenter, I'd like to invite Dini Auralia Agustina Putri with her topic, Listening as the First Step in Language Acquisition. Please.
Thank you, moderator. Good morning. How are you, everyone? I hope you are all in the good condition today. I'm Dini Aurelia Agustina Putri, student of English Education Department, Silima University. And I want to start this presentation by giving you some questions. Are you ever curious about how we can communicate with this language, how we can talk, listen, and understand of what other people say to us? How did it start exactly? Yeah, the answer is by listening. Listening should be the first skill acquired in language acquisition, and this is become our topic for this time. For the next slide, we are going to talk about the steps of how we learn a language in language acquisition. According to Pamadou and Miller in 2005, all children have the ability to hear since they are born. Before they speak, first they listen. After speak, they read, and finally they can write. That is, listening as the first one to appear among all the other language skills, Lansing in 1979. As the FL or the SL students, the language learners do the same thing as the children do when they learn their first language. This applies to mastery any languages in this world, not only in English. We're going to move to the next slide. There are some reasons why listening is applied as the first approach in language acquisition, and this listening first approach was pioneered by Klosowski in 1974 and 1975. So the first reason is listening comprehension designs the blueprint for future acquisition of speaking. Listening comprehension demonstrates how the language sounds like, and it has benefits for future acquisition of speech. And the second reason is emphasis listening, training, and relaxation of the requirement for oral production in the initial phase of instruction fosters development of linguistic competence. One example of that is vocabulary mastery. It is better than obtain intensive oral practice. The listening first approach functions as a comprehension input for language learners as their basic knowledge. Next slide, please. Besides in classroom, in developing listening skills, some media we can use, such as videos or movies, and then conversation audio of native speakers, songs, podcasts, and also YouTube. And it is better than listening activities to test the listening abilities in school, which leads to anxiety and apprehension to the learners. As Vandergrift in 1999 said, too often teachers only use listening activities to test the listening abilities of their students, which leads to anxiety and apprehension. As the result, the language learners were not so excited about listening because they not put interest to what they heard is. And then to sum up, listening should be the first and foremost skill acquired in language acquisition, which functions as basic knowledge to future acquisition of language like speaking, reading, and also writing. The language learners should make listening as their daily activity or maybe their habits in order to get used to the language. Okay, last. Next slide, please. I will end this presentation by a quote from Dr. Stephen Froshen. We acquire a language when we understand what we hear and read, when we understand what other people are saying to us, not how they say it. All right, I think it's enough from me. Thank you for your nice attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
All right, thank you very much for your great presentation. And for the next presenter, I'd like to invite Fasya Muhammad Al-Hafiz with his topic, Simple Technique to Improve Your Listening Skill by Watching Movie. Please.
Okay, thanks to moderator for inviting me. Good morning, everybody. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Fasya Muhammad Al-Hafiz. I am student of English Education Department, Siliwangi University. And on this occasion, I want to talk about simple technique to improve your listening skill by watching. I think listening or improving our listening is more difficult than reading, writing, and speaking because we must focus our attention to listen the dialogue or to the native speaker or to sound or voices that so difficult, I think. And next slide. And the question is how to improve your listening skill. If you want to improve your skill, all of your skill, not just listening skill, you must, or I think that can be more effective with an enjoy technique. Next. Okay, I have two simple technique that can be, or example is by watching movie. By watching movie, why by watching movie? Because by watching movie, we got a visualization which can help us to more understanding with the dialogue or with what the speaker talking about. Next, please. Okay, for the first technique is watching same movie twice. Next. The first step at the first technique is you watch the movie with subtitle first for understanding the movie. And the second is you watch same movie twice without subtitle to focus listening. And this is the example video of that. Can you play, Miss Moderator, the video? Yeah, this is a sample of watching movie with subtitle. And the next is sample of watching movie without subtitle. This is the video. Okay, that's the sample of watching movie without subtitle. I'm sorry, there is no voice or sound in the video. And next slide, please. I have a second technique for you to improve your listening skill. And this is more effective or more simple than before. That is watching movie with delay subtitle. The first step is you turn on your English subtitle, and the second is delay the subtitle for 2 seconds. And the third is you just can read the subtitle if you don't understand what the speaker say or what is the dialogue. Okay, got it? Next. And this is the sample video for delay subtitle. Okay, that is the sample video. Next. Yeah, the technique is so simple as that. You can try at your home and improve your listening skill. But in fact, native speaker have trouble understanding movies sometimes. So in the beginning, you may have to read subtitle almost all the time. That's okay. Listening is very difficult skill to improve. So make sure you practice a lot and do it regularly. And over time, your listening and your vocabulary will get better. I think uh, that's all from me. Thanks for your the best attention. I'm sorry, forgive me for my mistake. Stay healthy and stay safe. My name is Fasya. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
All right, thank you very much for your great presentation. And for the next presenter, I'd like to invite Andriani Suciarahmani with her topic, Improve Your Ability to Listen by Active Listening. Please.
Thank you, moderator. Let me check my voice first. Is it clear?
Yes.
All right. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to see you all here. My name is Andriani Suciarahmani. In this occasion, I'd like to present about improve your ability to listen by active listening. By the end of this talk, you will be able to know how to improve your listening skills through active listening. All right, have you ever heard about active listening? If we look at the slide, we have a definition of active listening according to experts. Friston et al. Stated that active listening is a unified framework for generating and recognizing speech. So, active listening is the ability to focus completely on a speaker, understand their message, comprehend the information, and respond thoughtfully. And how active listening can improve our listening skills. Next slide, please. Active listening improves your understanding of what others are saying, thinking, and feeling, and therefore it increases your ability to meet their needs and yours. And what are the benefits of active listening? Next slide, please. Yeah. As you can see on the screen, here we have several benefits of active listening according to Handel 2020. You can read it by yourself. I just highlight one point, that is active listening minimizes the chance of misunderstanding, errors, mistakes, or communication gap and builds a strong conversation. As we can see, those benefits are very beneficial for us to become a good listener. So the question is, what we have to do to become an active listener? Let's look to the slides. These are the steps to become an active listener. The first one is paraphrase. Summarize the main points of the message that the speaker shared to so you fully understand their meaning. This will also give the speaker an opportunity to clarify vague information or explain their message. For example, so what you are saying is you just hook up with him and then ask open-ended questions. Ask questions that show you have gathered of the essence of what they have shared and guides them into sharing additional information. Make sure this question cannot be answered with a simple yes or no. And next, ask specific probing question. Ask direct questions that guide the speaker to provide more details about the information they have shared. For example, tell me more about your current assignment. Which of these projects is the most time consuming? And next, use short verbal affirmation. Short and positive statement will help the speaker feel more comfortable and show you are engaged and able to process the information they are providing. Small verbal affirmation help you continue the conversation without interrupting the speaker or disrupting their flow. Next is display empathy. Make sure the speaker understands you are able to recognize their emotion and share their feeling. By showing compassion rather than just feeling it, you are able to connect with the speaker and begin establishing a sense of mutual trust. For example, I'm so sorry you are dealing with this problem. Let's figure out some ways I can help. And then share similar experiences. Discussing comparable situations will not only show the speaker you are successfully interpreted their message, but it can also assist in building relationship. If the speaker has shared a problem, providing the input from how you solve similar challenges is valuable to others. And next is recall previously shared information. Try to remember the key concept, ideas, or other critical points the speaker has shared with you in the past. This demonstrates you are not only listening to what they are saying currently, but you are able to retain information and recall specific details. And last is non-verbal cues. Not everything involved in active listening requires words. A very important piece of active listening is body language. By nodding your head, sharing eye contact, and even smiling, you can say a lot without saying anything at all. That's it. So now let's practice active listening for your daily life, because the more accurately you hear, the more effectively you can meet the other person's needs. Thank you so much for your nice attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Back to the moderator.
All right, thank you very much for your good representation. And for the next presenter, I'd like to invite Mira Fuji Salamatun Najah with her topic, Improving Listening Skills Through the Use of Active Listening Strategies. Please.
All right, thank you, moderator. Is my voice clear?
Yes.
All right. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, good morning, everyone. It's great to see you all here. My name is Mira Fuji Salamatun Najah. In this occasion, I would like to present an idea about improving listening skills through the use of active listening strategies. All right, next slide, please. All right, what is listening skills? Listening is hearing, perception, and understanding of voice via the sense organs. And different definition of listening, that listening is the ability to fully understand the message that which the other person wants to give and what they want to say. And as Hunsaker argued, that 80% what people know is obtained by listening. So listening is the activity to be able to fully understand the message that speakers want to give and to react to the message. Today, listening skill is used in many areas such as school life, family relations, friends meeting, radio, and etc. So listening is the language skills that is used with or without awareness in situations that people face in social life and in any learning process. Next slide, please. Then, why use active listening strategies to improve our listening skills? Ma claims that listening strategies refer to techniques, approaches, or actions that students take in their listening process to help their listening comprehension. And as Floder and Miller argue that learners can develop better listening habits by the integration of listening strategies into the language learning process. So listener unconsciously use specified strategies while listening, and that effective listening strategies contribute to better understanding and help the learners in attaining high levels of self-confidence. Next slide, please. Then, how do active listening strategies improve our listening skills? A variety of effective active listening strategies need to be used to improve our listening skills. There are three strategies supported by EQUAL. The first is cognitive strategies, the second is affective strategies, and the last is psychomotor-based strategies. Next slide. All right. Cognitive strategies. Active listening is a cognitive process involving an array of intellectual behaviors. While listening to their instructors, students tend to use cognitive strategies such as paying attention, taking notes, making associations and analogies, asking questions, integrating information and then making inferences, seeking the main idea, and setting objectives for listening. All right, for instance, here's taking notes. Students frequently employ the strategy of taking notes while listening to achieve more effective and more permanent learning. In note-taking, they seeking to learn more effectively by carefully recording ideas they deem significant and classifying what they learn. As an active listening behavior, taking notes was generally described by students to afford more permanent knowledge through the use of writing. Next slide, please. The second is affective strategies. When learners exhibit positive effective behaviors while listening, active listening is realized in more careful and motivated way. Students demonstrate effective behaviors such as attending class on time, being motivated, being calm, and enjoying the lessons. For instance, here is attend the class on time. Students who attend the class on time stay there. Doing so allows them to prepare themselves effectively prior to listening, to not miss the beginning of the lessons, and to concentrate better. Next slide. And the last is psychomotor-based strategies. Among activities of active listening, psychomotor-based strategies are crucial. Students indicating using psychomotor-based behaviors such as being close to the board, following along with both their head and eyes, making eye contact, generating feedback, sitting up straight, paying attention to gestures, facial expressions, tone of voice, and stress in speech, and doing something else. For instance, here is making eye contact. Students try to make eye contact with their instructors while listening. Eye contact is the basis of communication that makes other speakers feel that they are being listened and is pivotal in listening training as well. Students who make eye contact with instructors can also follow their instructors' gestures and facial expressions while listening. And they can also interpret their instructors by effectively understanding body language, gestures, and facial expressions. All right, everyone, that's all from me. Thank you very much for your great attentions. I give it back to moderator. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for your great presentation. And for the next presenters, I'd like to invite Anggita Megantari and Hilmi Ayuniar Setiawati with their topic, Listening Strategy, How to be a Good Listener. Please.
All right, thank you, moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, good morning, everyone. Nice to see you all. In this occasion, I'm Anggita Megantari and my partner, Hilmi Ayuniar Setiawati, will deliver the material about listening strategies with the title, Listening Strategy, How to be a Good Listener. Let's move to another slide. Do you know that good communication needs a good listener? In a good communication, there is someone who delivers the information and the other one is to listen carefully to what he or she is saying. But how to be a good listener? To be a good listener, you can develop your listening skill with the listening strategies. All right, before we talk about the strategy, let's define listening first. Next slide, please. So what is listening? As you can see on the screen and also has already explained by several previous presenters, so listening can be defined as a communication skill that requires listeners to understand what others are saying or to interpret what we hear. All right, let's move to the next slide. Why is listening important? Yurko and Stefanishin argue that listening is important because, first, listening is the most frequently used language skill. Listening may seem secondary to other active language skills, but the importance of listening is undeniable. Many studies have shown that it is the most frequently used language skill by students, and listening is basically about how we acquire and learn new information. And the second, listening is a great practice of language usage revision. When listening, we are consistently reviewing a lot of crucial language usages such as vocabulary, grammatical structures, intonation, accent, and our interpretation. We can find out the wrong language usage and then revise it by hearing them frequently. Next, listening is a very active learning process. Listening actually is a very active process despite the fact you are not saying anything. The fundamental techniques of active listening usually includes agreeing noises like yeah, something like that, slight nodding of the head and eye contact with the person who is talking. And the next, it is the easiest way to learn the segmentation rules. Segmentation rules is grouping something based on particular criteria. Listening is a vital step to become familiar with the segmentation rules for how the foreign language is spoken. When we listen to someone talking, our brain starts processing the obtained information by segmenting it into small parts to store them to our short-term memory. It splits them up based on our knowledge of how the language is spoken. Learning the segmentation rules is usually an unconscious process. So the easiest way to learn them is to get lots of regular listening practice. It will not only improve your understanding, but will progress your speaking in language as well. And the last, to communicate and obtain information. Listening is key to all effective communication, and listening is the ability to accurately receive and interpret the message or the information in the communication process. Without the ability to listen effectively, the information is easily misunderstood. All right, now the problem is on the next slide. Why listening to English is so hard? Learning English is challenging for those who live in areas where English is used as a foreign language because they are not familiar with hearing it. Ken claims listening to English is so hard because learners should comprehend messages as they come in and also deal with the speaker's vocabulary, structure, and speed of delivery. Furthermore, in a foreign language, when the listener has limited control over the language, the difficulty of the listening process is increased. All right, maybe that's all that I have to present. And for the next part about listening strategy will be explained by Hilmi Ayunia Setiawati. Thank you. Hilmi, please.
Thank you, Anggita. Hello, everyone. My name is Hilmi Nirstiawati. Here, I will continue the presentation. Anggita has already told about the problem of listening. So how to solve the problem? The answer is with the listening strategies. And what is listening strategy? The 2 points here is the definition I got from the articles. So from 2 points, we can conclude that listening strategies are technique or action or activity that contribute directly to the comprehension and recall input and can be broadly classified as top-down strategies and bottom-up strategies. Next slide, please. Gebhardt divided the information process into 2 parts, top-down strategies and bottom-up strategies. Top-down strategies where listener uses a background knowledge of the topic to make sense of what he or she is listening to. There are listening to the main idea, predicting, drawing inference, summarizing, and taking notes. And the bottom-up strategies, listener attempt to make sense of the language sound by sound or word by word. So the listener relies on the language in the message like sound, word, and grammar and creates the meaning. They are listening to the specific details and recognize a word order pattern. Next slide, please. I'll give you the example. I have two cases here. The first cases, you listen well as your teacher shared with you how she spent her holiday break. And in the second cases, in the afternoon, your friends B calls to invite you to dinner at her house on Sunday. As you have never been to her house, she gives you direction. You listen carefully and make notes. So do you know which listening strategies uses for the cases? Yeah, the first cases use top-down strategies and the second cases use bottom-up strategies. In the first cases, the way you listen to a teacher's holiday story is the use of top-down listening strategies. This is you use your background knowledge to understand the meaning of the message. So when the context is holiday, our knowledge of holiday play a role in aligning the sound we hear with the expectation and capturing special details related to holidays. And the top-down strategies focuses on the big picture and general meaning of the listening text. It relies on the listener knowledge of a topic and knowing certain social situation will fit a particular topic or situation. And in the second cases, when listening to direction to friend's house, understanding the B direction will be obtained by dividing the message conveyed. We must be able to translate the sound we hear into words. If we need to recognize something such as a street name or direction for taking transportation to B's house, this method called bottom-up strategy. And in everyday life, it is very important to apply a bottom-up strategies. For example, when listening to lectures or how to cook something, how to operate machine, and so on. And a listener must discuss listening input carefully and truthfully so that no error occur. Next slide, please. All right, we come to the end of the presentation. So listening is important and effective communication needs a good listener. And to be a good listener, we have to develop our listening skill, one of which is with the listening strategies. Use the strategy to listen better and be a good listener for effective communication. Remember, every good conversation starts with good listener. Next slide, please. Okay, my partner Anggita Megantari and I, Hilmi Yunastiawati, thank you for listening to us. I'll give back to the moderator. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for your great presentations. And for the next presenter, for the last presenter, I'd like to invite Fikri Bayhaki. Please.
All right. Thank you, moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. I hope all of you in your good condition. All right. My name is Fikri Bayhaki. I am from Siliwangi University. Next slide, please. I'm here. I want to talk about the benefits of being a good listener. Next slide, please. So, before we talk about the benefits, let's talk about what is listening. All right. Listening can be described as the process of taking in information and transforming it into an understandable message. All right. Listening have a process. There are listening process consists 5 steps, in which 3 are necessary to at least comprehend the other person. The other two are extra steps that can improve our listening skills. Next slide, please. All right. This is 5 steps of listening process. The first one is receiving. In order to listen, a person must have the, the capacity to receive the message. Sometimes this can be disturbed by psychological problems or simply because the receiver is not interested. Second one is attending. More often than not, we hear multiple voices at the same time. It is the listener's job to not only receive the message, but to choose who to actually pay attention. The third one is understanding. After choosing to actively listen to a person, it's necessary to focus on them so as to comprehend for the most part what they intend to communicate. All right. The fourth one is responding. The listening process may end in the previous steps. However, to be a good listener, engaging in the conversation is necessary. We can either speak or signal to the other person that we are paying attention. The last one is remembering. Actively listening will make remembering details as much easier, which in turn will enhance the conversation as a whole. All right, next slide, please. This is 4 simple things or 4 simple tips. Uh, this is 4 simple things or simple tips we can start doing in order to become a better listener. First one is eliminating or reducing direct distraction. The easiest and the most important thing to do in order to be a good listener is to concentrate on the conversation. Concentration can be by silencing your phone, turning off the television, and by looking the person and looking at the person and not the surroundings. You can also concentration by meditating at least 5 minutes a day. The second one is making eye contact. Sometimes word are not enough to express our feelings and express our idea. In this case, this is important to make an eye contact to further our understanding to the other person's emotions. Third one is delaying judgment. Most likely, as we listen to someone speak, we make our mind up early on in the conversation and decide if we agree or disagree. So it is important to try and understand their perspective instead of imposing our way of thinking right away. The last one is following the golden rule. Do into do into other as you would have them do to you. In other words, let them express themselves first and then uh, let them let them speak first, let them express themselves first, and let them take their time. Right. Next slide, please. Now we are gonna talk about the benefits. The benefits of being a good listener. Improve relationship and cooperation. People respond better to someone whom they perceive listen intently to their needs. People are more likely to pay attention to you if you start by paying close attention to them. Greater trust. Authentic listening builds rapport between people, as it fosters respect and trust between speaker and listener. Problem solving. Two minds are better than one. Listening effectively fosters collaboration so that the solution to problems can be generated more easily. A cooler head. Listening intently reduce tension and help both sides to stay cool. This is particularly important when you are discussing a sensitive topic or you are handling a crisis. Boost confidence. People who listen well tend to have better self-esteem and self-image because active listening helps to build positive relationship. The last one is briefer conversation. Good listening leads to understanding and accuracy. It reduces misunderstanding and mistake, and both sides tend to remember conversation better. All right, maybe that's it from me. I will give big. Thank you for your attention. I'll give it back to the moderator.
All right, thank you very much for your great presentation. And now we are going to the question and answer session. Please, if you have a question. Please, Shifa, you raise your hand.
Thank you, Dr. Moderator. Should I ask in English or in Bahasa?
I'm sorry, I can't hear your voice.
Okay. Nas. Am I audible?
Maybe
Nas.
maybe you can
audible,
type
Nas?
on chat box, I mean, Shifa.
All right.
All right, thank you very much for your question, Shifa. I will read the question. How do we try to adjust to different accents or as good listeners? An example is we used to listen to an American accent, then there is a friend who talks with an Indian accent. What kind of strategy should we use? Right, please presenters answer the question. I'm sorry. And for Dini, please to answer the question.
All right. First, I'm so sorry for the noises. So I think we can do for example active listening. We listen into what is it what they are what they are said, and then I think English w- uh, uh, I mean in American or Indian English is just English. I mean uh, for example how are you in Indonesia, how are what is it, apa kabar. American and Indian also said how are you. The difference is just accent. So maybe you can what is it hear them hear them deeply, and then say them to what is it talk slow down, and maybe add with some gestures. You can also uh, what's it, look at their eyes and then their hands. Maybe what is uh, apa? What is they are going to say. I think it's enough if by seeing their eyes, maybe their gestures, they hand, and besides that, I think accent is not very difficult to to differentiate English. The meaning, the sounds may be different, but the word, every words may be same. So I think it's quite easy to understand if they're also looking at their eyes and their gestures by active listening, as some presenters said previously. Maybe that's enough for me.
All right, thank you, Dini, for your answer. And for Shiva, is the answer enough?
Yes, thank you very much, Papa.
All right. Is there any questions?
I'm sorry, can I add the answer of based on my opinion?
Please.
So if we don't understand about what others are saying, just use these steps, these 3 steps. First one is, if you don't understand, show you don't understand. You can use a phrases, sorry, I didn't understand, or sorry, I didn't catch that. And then for the next steps is use a strategy. You can ask, could you please write it down, or could you please repeat that, or speak more slowly, please. And the last steps is check the meaning. So what you're saying is to make sure that there is no there is no apa ya, misunderstanding. So you can ask the speaker the meaning of their story, maybe. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Andriani, for your answer or for your answer. If no more question, let me conclude today's discussion. According to Agustina 2018, listening is not only hearing, but it's also the process of interpreting message of what people say. And according to Chain 2013, there are 2 reasons why listening to English is so hard. First, learners have to process the message when they listen, and the last, the complexity of the listening process. And last, and you can improve your listening through media, movies, YouTube, podcasts recorded by native speaker conversation, and songs. Finally, we come to the last session of this webinar series. Thank you to the presenters who are delivering your presentations. And also thank you very much to all audiences for your participation. Hopefully the discussion that we have shared today will be useful for all of us. Thanks for attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Please, to the participants, you may leave the room.